Hey there, deep divers. Before we get started, just a quick reminder to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any of our future deep dives. We've got some seriously interesting stuff planned.
Oh, absolutely.
So today we're diving into something pretty major. The Australian government is making a big move into the world of artificial intelligence.
Yeah, they've just released this really detailed policy document.
And we're going to break it all down for you.
It's fascinating stuff.
Yeah.
What I find really intriguing is that they're trying to balance this incredible potential of AI, with the public's, let's just say, cautiousness.
Right.
They're trying to walk this tightrope between, embracing cutting-edge tech, but also making sure people feel comfortable with it.
Yeah, it's like they're saying, hey, we're not going to let the robots take over, but we do want them to, help us with our taxes.
Yeah.
So how are they planning to pull this off?
Well, the policy is really cleverly structured in three parts. It's like enabling AI adoption, then ensuring it's used responsibly, and adapting to the future of this, constantly evolving tech. It's like a roadmap for uncharted territory.
Okay, love a good roadmap. So let's zoom in on that first section, embracing the benefits, but with caution. So they're acknowledging that AI could revolutionize everything from how the government operates to the services they provide to citizens.
Right, but here's where it gets really interesting. They're not sugarcoating anything. The policy actually acknowledges the public's concerns head on. They're talking about data privacy, transparency, and even the potential for bias.
Yeah, so they're not just blindly charging ahead. They're saying, we hear you, we get it,
Yeah.
and we're building those safeguards into the plan.
Exactly. In fact, they're aiming for a unified approach to AI across all government agencies. This isn't a free-for-all. They're setting clear guidelines and standards for everyone to follow, which is a huge deal when you think about the scale of the Australian government.
That reminds me of that recent study the government did on safe and responsible AI. Did they find that public trust in AI, especially when it comes to government use, is pretty low?
Yeah, spot on. This policy is a direct response to those findings. They're trying to build trust by being open and accountable about how AI is being used.
Okay, so less cloak and dagger, more transparency. I like it.
Mm.
But let's get specific.
Yeah.
What are some of the concrete requirements they're putting in place to make sure this responsible AI thing actually happens?
One of the key things is establishing accountability from the ground up. So every agency is going to have what they're calling accountable officials, the go-to people for everything AI.
So if you're working in, let's say, the Department of Parks and Recreation, and you have this brilliant idea for an AI system that helps people find the best picnic spots, you'd go to your accountable official to get the ball rolling.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
And these accountable officials have a direct line to the Digital Transformation Agency, or DTA, the folks overseeing this whole AI endeavor.
The DTA, the AI whisperers.
You could say that, especially when it comes to high-risk AI applications, agencies are required to flag those to the DTA so they can help develop strategies to prevent any problems. Imagine an AI being used to determine who gets access to certain benefits. That's high-stakes stuff, and they want to make sure it's done right.
It sounds like they're building in checks and balances from the start, making sure there's always someone responsible at every level.
Precisely. And on top of that, there's this thing called an AI transparency statement that's really a game changer. Within 6 months, every single agency has to publicly declare how they're using AI. They can't hide it.
Wait, so does that mean every government agency has to do this?
Yeah.
Even like the Department of, bird watching?
Every single one. They have to lay it all out, how they're using AI, how they're making sure it's effective, and most importantly, how they're protecting people from any negative impacts. It's like saying, look, we're not trying to pull a fast one. Here's what we're doing, and we're happy to answer your questions.
Wow, that's a pretty big commitment to transparency. No more shadowy government AI projects happening in secret labs.
Exactly. They're bringing AI into the light, which is crucial for building trust and showing that they're serious about responsible use.
So they're acknowledging the public's concerns, they're creating clear lines of accountability, and they're being radically transparent about how they're using AI. Seems like a pretty good start.
It does, but remember, this is just the first step. They're laying the foundation for a future where AI is integrated into the very fabric of government.
Okay, I'm definitely intrigued. But before we go any further down this rabbit hole, we need to take a quick break.
And it's not just about, setting up the rules. They're also providing the tools and support to help agencies actually, put this policy into practice.
Okay, so like giving them the nuts and bolts to build this responsible AI future.
Exactly. One of the coolest things is that they've released specific guidance on using generative AI tools, things like ChatGPT.
Right.
Those tools are incredibly powerful, but they also come with unique risks, so they need a special approach.
It's like they're saying, hey, we know you're all excited about these new AI toys, but here's how to play with them responsibly. So what kind of things does this guidance cover?
It gets into the nitty-gritty of using those tools in a government context. Like, for instance, it talks about protecting sensitive information.
Hmm.
Think about people's personal data when using these tools. And it also emphasizes being upfront with the public about how generative AI is being used,
Hmm.
which, ties back to that whole transparency thing we talked about earlier.
So if a government agency is using ChatGPT to help them, like, draft a public announcement, they can't just pretend it's all their own brilliant writing.
Nope. They have to be transparent about it. And another crucial point, they're stressing the need for human oversight. They're making it clear that these tools are powerful, but they shouldn't be making decisions that humans should be making.
So no handing over the keys to the kingdom to ChatGPT just yet.
Not quite. But beyond generative AI, they're also investing in broader AI training for everyone in the Australian Public Service, the APS. The policy actually recommends that all staff receive what they call AI fundamentals training.
Oh, that's pretty cool. They're basically trying to create an army of, like, AI literate public servants.
Exactly, because to use AI effectively and safely, you need to understand the basics, how it works, what it's good at, and where the potential pitfalls are.
It's like they're saying, look, AI is going to be a part of your jobs whether you like it or not, so you might as well learn how to use it properly.
And this training goes beyond just the, technical stuff. They're also emphasizing critical thinking and ethical awareness. They want people to be able to ask the tough questions like, should we be using AI for this? What are the potential consequences? Are there any unintended biases we need to be aware of?
So it's not just about knowing how to code an AI. It's about knowing when and why to use it in the first place.
Exactly. And that shift in mindset, that focus on responsible and ethical use, that's what sets Australia apart. They're not just jumping on the AI bandwagon. They're trying to steer it in the right direction.
That's a pretty bold vision.
Yeah.
But how do they actually measure whether they're succeeding? Is there, like, a way to track their progress on this whole responsible AI journey?
That's a great question, and it gets to the heart of what it means to be a leader in this space. It's not just about talking the talk, it's about walking the walk. And one of the key ways they're doing that is through this risk assessment process we discussed earlier.
Right, the one where agencies have to ask those tough questions about potential negative impacts.
Exactly. Remember that risk assessment matrix isn't just about identifying technical glitches. It's about forcing agencies to grapple with ethical considerations as well.
So they're not just worried about whether the AI will crash. They're worried about whether it will be fair and impartial.
Precisely. For example, they have to consider the risk of AI perpetuating existing biases or even creating new ones. Let's say they're developing an AI system to help with hiring decisions. They need to make sure it's not accidentally discriminating against certain groups based on factors like gender, ethnicity, or age.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
You don't want an AI deciding who gets the job based on outdated stereotypes.
Mm-hmm.
So how do they make sure that doesn't happen?
Well, it starts with being aware of the potential for bias. The risk assessment process forces agencies to think critically about where those biases might creep in and to develop strategies to mitigate those risks.
So they're essentially building bias detectors into the AI development process.
You could say that. It's about being proactive and recognizing that these systems are only as good as the data they're trained on and the people who design them.
Okay, so they're asking the tough questions and putting safeguards in place?
Yeah.
But AI is such a complex field and it's constantly changing. How can they be sure they're staying ahead of the curve? I mean, what if they miss something?
That's where the whole of government approach comes in. They're not expecting each agency to be an AI expert. They're encouraging agencies to share their experiences, both good and bad, with each other. It's about creating a culture of learning and collaboration.
So it's like they're creating this giant AI brain trust within the government where everyone can contribute their knowledge and expertise.
Exactly. And this is particularly important when it comes to keeping up with the rapid pace of AI development. New tools and techniques are emerging all the time, and no single agency can be expected to stay on top of everything. By sharing information and working together, they can collectively stay ahead of the game.
It's like they're saying, we're all in this together. Let's learn from each other's mistakes and build a better AI future for Australia.
That's a great way to put it. And this collaborative spirit is what gives me hope that they can actually pull this off. They're not just approaching this as a technical challenge. They're treating it as a societal one, a challenge that requires everyone to work together.
It's like they're weaving responsible AI into the very fabric of Australian society. Okay, now I'm really curious to see how this all plays out in practice. What are some of the specific things they're doing to make this vision a reality?
Well, that's a great segue into the final part of our deep dive.
Right.
Let's move beyond the policy document and take a look at what's happening on the ground. What are the early successes and challenges, and what does it all mean for the future of AI in Australia?
So we've talked about, the big picture, the high-level goals, the framework. But now let's get down to brass tacks. What are we actually seeing happening, on the ground?
Well, one really encouraging sign is the emphasis on practical support for agencies. It's one thing to have a policy document, but it's quite another to actually implement it in the real world.
Right.
And they're recognizing that and providing concrete resources to help agencies navigate this new terrain.
So it's not just a case of, here's the rule book, now figure it out yourselves.
Definitely not. They're taking a much more hands-on approach. For example, they've developed a range of training programs and workshops specifically designed to help public servants understand and apply the principles of responsible AI.
So like AI boot camps for bureaucrats.
Yeah, you could say that they're covering everything from the technical aspects of AI to the ethical considerations and the legal implications. It's about equipping people with the knowledge and skills they need to make informed decisions about how AI is used in their work.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. You wouldn't expect someone to build a bridge without proper training. And it's the same with AI. It's a powerful tool that needs to be handled with care and expertise.
Exactly. And beyond training, they're also developing practical guidance documents and toolkits to help agencies with specific tasks. For instance, they've created a really useful guide for conducting AI risk assessments. It walks agencies step by step through the process of identifying and mitigating potential risks.
So they're not just saying, be careful with AI. They're giving them a checklist and a roadmap to help them do it right.
Oh, exactly. It's about making responsible AI practices as straightforward and accessible as possible. And they're also fostering a culture of knowledge sharing across agencies. They've set up online forums and communities of practice where people can connect with each other, share their experiences, and learn from each other's successes and challenges.
It's like an AI support group for the Australian government.
Yeah, something like that. But it's a really valuable resource because it allows people to tap into a collective wisdom and avoid reinventing the wheel every time they encounter a new AI challenge.
Okay, so they're providing training resources, support networks, but what about actual real-world examples of this policy in action? Are there any projects or initiatives that stand out as particularly innovative or successful?
There are actually. One great example is the work being done by Services Australia to use AI to improve the delivery of welfare services. So they're developing AI-powered systems to help people navigate complex eligibility criteria and access the support they need more easily.
So instead of having to wade through mountains of paperwork and confusing websites, people can just chat with a friendly AI assistant.
That's the idea.
Yeah.
And they're doing it in a way that's designed to be inclusive and accessible for everyone, including people who might not be tech savvy or who face language barriers.
Right, that's really important. You don't want AI to create a new digital divide where some people are left behind.
Absolutely. And they're also being very careful to ensure that these AI systems are fair and unbiased. They're using techniques like data debiasing and algorithmic auditing to make sure that everyone is treated equitably.
So they're not just throwing AI at the problem and hoping for the best. They're really thinking through the potential implications and taking steps to mitigate any risks.
Exactly. And that's what's so encouraging about this whole approach. They're not shying away from the challenges of AI. They're tackling them head on with a commitment to responsible and ethical use.
It sounds like Australia is really trying to position itself as a global leader in this space, not just in terms of AI innovation, but also in terms of AI governance.
That's right. They're showing the world that it's possible to embrace the transformative power of AI while also upholding human values and protecting the public interest.
It's an inspiring vision, and one that I think will have a lasting impact far beyond Australia's borders.
I agree. It's setting a new standard for how governments around the world can harness the power of AI for good.
Well, deep divers, it seems like the Australian government is on a mission to build a future where AI is a force for positive change. But as we've discussed, it's a journey that requires careful navigation, constant vigilance, and a commitment to collaboration.
And it's a journey that we all have a role to play in. As citizens, we need to stay informed, engaged, and vocal about how we want AI to be used in our society.
You need to ask the tough questions. Demand transparency and hold those in power accountable for ensuring that AI is used in a way that benefits everyone.
Because ultimately, the future of AI is not something that's happening to us. It's something that we're all creating together.
That's a great point. And on that note, we'll leave you to ponder the implications of this fascinating policy and its potential to reshape our world. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the Australian government's AI policy. Until next time, stay curious, stay engaged, and stay informed.
And don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss out on our future deep dives. We've got some amazing topics lined up.